What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script. It is Saturday, July 18th, 2020, and this is episode 335, part number 1, to begin your Extreme Rules weekend, the horror show known as Extreme Rules. This is actually the first podcast from the new apartment. I'm excited, ready to go, and we got an action-packed podcast lined up for you guys today. We are going to be talking about Summerslam. Yes, folks, Summerslam is only 4 weeks away. And what if I told you WWE had a card and then ripped up the script for said SummerSlam 4 weeks away from their second biggest pay-per-view of the year? I got so much SummerSlam news, you do not want to miss anything I have to say here. Also, WWE and Wrestlemania right now up in the air next year in Los Angeles. I read a report. I don't know how true it is. We haven't heard any official confirmation from WWE as of yet pertaining to this particular story. But WrestleMania next year in Los Angeles might not be in Los Angeles. There are rumblings right now that WWE might move WrestleMania 37 in Los Angeles back to Tampa Bay in Florida and give Florida that WrestleMania that they missed out on this year. So I got major news on that, as well as everything else coming out of WWE right here on Off the Script. We may even go over an actual SummerSlam card that I could definitely see happen this year for SummerSlam 2020. Like I said, man, action-packed show. So thank you so very much for joining me right here on OTS. Before we do anything, before we get into anything, I gotta wish 3 birthdays. 3 birthdays today. Number 1, I mentioned it on the SmackDown review last night. My buddy Jesse, my co-host on the AEW podcast right here on Off the Script on Wednesdays. His wife's birthday, Kristen, was celebrated yesterday. So make sure you guys sound off in the comments below. He didn't tell me to do it a second time. I'm doing it because he's like a brother to me, and I wish him and his family all the best this weekend, and his wife a very happy birthday. Shout out number 2 and number 3. I gotta wish a happy birthday to my boy, Midas Black, from the tag team, and you're gonna hear a lot about these guys in the upcoming months into the future. Midas Black of the main event coming out of House of Glory, one half of one of my favorite tag teams right now. 2 guys that I see a lot of potential in, Midas Black and Jay Lyon, known as the main event. I want to wish Midas Black a happy birthday as well, and I wish him all the success in the world, and I can't wait to get back behind that desk and start calling matches and calling their matches, because I do think that when we get things right back on track in House of Glory, you're looking at your new House of Glory Tag Team Champions, and I've been very high on them, and I can't wait to, again, be a part of their journey in House of Glory and into the future. Also, I want to wish a happy birthday to Montekia, also from House of Glory. Unbelievably talented individual. Can't wait to get back and start doing the thing again in House of Glory. And I want to wish both Montekia and Midas Black a very happy birthday, and I wish them nothing but all the success in the world. Follow me on social media, guys, at JD from NY206. It's going to be a busy one. I'm going to be watching Impact tonight. I said it last night on the podcast when I covered SmackDown. Not sure if I'm going to do a review. I don't want to because I don't watch Impact, but then again, I do want to because I do think it's going to be a very newsworthy show, at least for Impact. But again, I don't watch the show, so I'm going to make a game time decision. Depending on when this podcast gets uploaded to YouTube and iTunes and Spotify and all that, I will make a game time decision on whether or not I cover Impact with Slammiversary tonight. But I will be watching and I will be live tweeting, so if you guys want to join me, as always, at JD from NY206 on Twitter. Same thing on Instagram. Follow me over there as well. As you guys know, WWE has Extreme Fools, the horror show, on Sunday night, so I will be live tweeting as well during that for sure. And then come Sunday, we're going to have a pre-show and a post-show live streams on YouTube for Extreme Rules. We're going to go over all the news and rumors going into the show, and we are going to cover the post as well when the show goes off the air. So make sure you guys set your notifications and make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel down below. If you missed my SmackDown review, if you missed my dual review of NXT and AEW Dynamite, that is linked down below. Also, Monday Night Raw from this past Monday, where they got the lowest ratings in the history of the show. I can't wait to talk about it, man. What was the rating? The worst ever. And I find it to be absolutely hilarious that WWE, when you look at their 2020 year, every single Raw in the top 5, the top 5 worst ratings that the show has ever produced came from this year alone. And no, folks, no shills, no blue check marks. The show isn't good, and the show right now is the absolute epitome of terrible. This is the worst creative year that WWE has ever seen, that I have ever seen watching this product in all the years I've been a fan of World Wrestling Entertainment, man. Absolutely terrible. If you want my thoughts on what was a terrible Monday Night Raw and everything else this week, links are down below in the description of this very video. Follow me on social media. Again, we're going to be live tweeting, as always, during Extreme Rules. That's very important because social media, when I actually tweet on social media, I feel like it generates more interest for the channel. So again, I can't stress that enough. I'll be live all weekend long on Twitter. Patreon, patreon.com/JD from NY206. If you guys want to support a little bit extra via the Patreon, it's always there for you guys. Never an obligation. Always there if you want to support. Continue getting your masks, your off-the-script masks, at mouthmasker.com/OTS. They actually hit me up. They've been selling incredibly well. The white is available still. And I just got word that there will be, next week, black masks. So if you guys got the white, you should go get the black. If you haven't ordered the white because you don't like white and prefer black, they're coming, and it's going to be great, man. Mouthmasker.com/OTS. Go and get your off-the-script masks today. Not a big fan of the masks. Nobody is. I'm actually against the masks, but I know we need the masks right now as we get through this shit. So if you're going to wear a mask, you might as well wear a mask with the off-the-script logo on it. So I thank you guys for supporting via that means as well. And today's podcast is brought to you by the one, the only, the Ridge wallet, ridge.com/script. Use code SCRIPT at checkout for 10% off your entire purchase. And we'll talk about my good friends over at the Ridge, who have sponsored the podcast many times before in the past and will be with me all summer long. So I thank them, ridge.com/script. Let's get right into the news, guys. I want to start off with the Summerslam news, okay? Actually, let's backtrack a little bit. We're going to go into WrestleMania news, and then we'll talk about SummerSlam. We'll start off with the biggest show of the year, and then go right into the second biggest show of the year, because I got everything lined up in a very strategic way here. WWE is not going Hollywood. According to Ringside News, they are not going Hollywood next year for WrestleMania. Instead, they're moving the show to Tampa, Florida. Now, as you guys know, WWE had to nix their plans to hold WrestleMania 36 in Tampa. We all know that WrestleMania, for the first time in its history, held WrestleMania, the biggest show of the year, in front of 0 fans. Nobody was in attendance, inside a gym, inside the Performance Center. That's where WrestleMania was this year. The coronavirus, obviously, is now ramping up and heading into the fall as more deadly than ever, supposedly. And the issue caused some people to worry about WrestleMania 37 and the future of that event, because we don't know when, A, there will be a vaccine, and B, if any of these states are going to allow large gatherings like a WrestleMania that can house next year in SoFi Stadium 100,000 people or close to 100,000 people. We don't know. We don't know. That is a huge gamble on WWE's behalf, because we don't know what is going to happen. We don't know about a vaccine. We don't know what the state of the country is going to be in. We don't know. We don't know. WWE was set to go Hollywood in 2021. In April, the LA Times reported that Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti stated that in a briefing, large gatherings such as concerts and sporting events may not be approved in the city for at least 1 year. It's coming pretty damn close to WrestleMania when he reported that in, I believe it was May, or April, the report says, in April. So it's pretty much when WrestleMania would have been long gone next year. WrestleMania is actually taking place the last weekend, the last Sunday of March next year. So if it's from April to April, that's the 1 year calendar time frame. WWE is looking at a possibility that WrestleMania might not be able to happen. And Los Angeles, California is a hotspot. Florida is a hotspot. I'm not sure what they're doing over there or what they're locking down over there. But Florida seems to be still operating like they were for the past couple of weeks. Even though the cases in Florida have gone up, things have still remained. We don't know what's going to happen. Again, nobody knows what's going to happen next week. Never mind next March. So the latest update comes from WrestleVotes. As you guys know, WrestleVotes gets a lot of things right. They get a thing they get a thing here or there wrong. So they, for the most part, are very trusting on WWE news, wrestling news. They noted that WWE is still planning to run Los Angeles next year. However, they want a decision made by middle of December from the state of California about large-scale gatherings. If the state does not allow large-scale gatherings, then the show would have to be moved. So that is what WrestleVotes stated, and I quote, WrestleMania 37 Los Angeles update. WWE is still very much planning to run the event as scheduled. However, they don't want this determination looming. Heard internally, WWE would like a decision by middle of December from the state of California on large-scale gatherings. Probably not good. End quote. Now, Los Angeles recently shut down the county again by not allowing people to dine inside of restaurants and to be in gyms, bars, or other businesses. Again, we don't know how long that is going to be mandated. Now, Ringside News followed up after WrestleVotes tweeted out what they said. Ringside News has learned that on March 28th, 2021, WrestleMania at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California isn't going to happen as planned in an exclusive story they broke on their website. WrestleMania 37, they say, will take place in Tampa, Florida instead. They say, and I quote, a source in the company told us at Ringside News that WrestleMania 37 is going to make up for the lost WrestleMania 36 event. Additionally, it was told to us that WWE promised next year's WrestleMania event to be in Tampa to keep DeSantis in the fold. Governor Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis, like I said, is the governor of Florida. He also declared WWE as an essential business very soon after Linda McMahon promised $18.5 million to the state of Florida through a presidential super PAC that she operates. It was told to Ringside News that Los Angeles might get WrestleMania in 2022, but that has not been 100% confirmed. Nothing has been confirmed by WWE in regards to where WrestleMania will be next year, if they will be moving WrestleMania 37 out of Los Angeles, if they will be moving WrestleMania 37 to Tampa to make up for the lost event that was WrestleMania 36 in Tampa this year that they had to hold at the Performance Center. None of this is confirmed. None of this is confirmed. So please take this with a very, very small pinch of salt. I don't know what else to say. I'm just here to report the news in case you guys did not hear it or read it or come across it this week with everything that's going on. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. WWE moving into that SoFi Stadium, you know that it's probably painful for them to move out of that stadium because they want to be, especially something that big, they want to be the first pro wrestling event to have an event like that. The first event period there. Vince loves it when he can beat the NFL and get a WrestleMania in there before a said Super Bowl. Now, Los Angeles is one. Las Vegas is another that's always been in discussion. Minneapolis is another one that WWE is looking at. I don't know what Vince is going to do, but I don't think Vince has anything to worry about because I don't think there will be any large-scale gatherings at all. So Vince has nothing to worry about, but this is what Vince thinks about. This is how Vince operates. He wants to be the first to do legitimately everything, especially when it comes to WWE and pro wrestling. He wants to be the first to do it. He wants to be the first pro wrestling company in the United States to have large gatherings, not just at a WrestleMania, but in general for TV, for a Raw and a SmackDown. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. He wanted SummerSlam with fans. That's not going to happen. I don't think WWE is going to have fans all year long. Never mind WrestleMania. But that's how Vince operates. If he wants WrestleMania in Los Angeles, he will have WrestleMania in Los Angeles if he's able to have large-scale gatherings and fans attend that show. If not, he'll probably go back to where it's been safe, Florida. That's been their safe zone. That's where everything and everyone seems to be going to hold large events and have fans and do this and do that. And things seem to be somewhat normal down in Florida, even though the cases keep rising. So if Vince is thinking that way, I would not be surprised. I really wouldn't. Again, we don't know. Please don't take this as a real scoop or a real story. This is only a speculation right now. Nothing, absolutely nothing has been confirmed by WWE, but I have to let you guys know that if you're planning Los Angeles, I don't even know who's planning anything as far as large-scale gatherings, attending shows or concerts or this or that. I know some people that are afraid to go out and go dine in. And I look at them like, bro, you've been home for 5 months. Go and fucking eat a meal. I'm sure you'll be okay. But I'll keep you guys posted on this. I really don't know what else to say. If Vince can have it, he will. If he's not going to have it there, you know he wants the 100,000. So he's probably going to hold off on something like that until things get back to normal. And he'll promise Tampa WrestleMania 37 and then move WrestleMania 38 to Los Angeles. And then we'll move on as regularly scheduled programming would indicate for WrestleMania. Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Minneapolis, and wherever else there's a new football stadium going up, WrestleMania will be there. You know Vince wants to be the first in every one of those new stadiums. Speaking of WrestleMania, biggest show of the year, going on into the second biggest show of the year, Summerslam. Or what my dad used to call Summerslam. Now, I find it funny, man. If you guys don't know why I call it Summerslam, every single year when I was little, me and my brother would watch SummerSlam. We would be excited for SummerSlam because it actually felt like SummerSlam. We would watch SummerSlam. My dad would order it on the satellite dish when pay-per-views were actually pay-per-views. 5 shows a year. And he would say, oh, it's Summerslam tonight. He'd always call it Summerslam instead of SummerSlam. So I came out with the t-shirt a couple of years ago that said Summerslam in the SummerSlam old school logo, which I got to get you guys the link for because I do believe it's still available. Or I'll just have Salrex give me the logo again and I'll put it on Bonfire. Whatever the case may be, I think that would be cool for the summer. But he always used to tell us, me and my brother, that it's Summerslam. So I got the logo made, Summerslam, on a t-shirt. And then last year, he asked me how they were selling for last year's Summerslam. And he's like, you know, that's my idea. Where's my cut? He says. Obviously, I didn't answer him, but I got him a shirt anyway. I think I got him a shirt. So we'll see what happens this year if I could get the shirts back to you guys for SummerSlam 2020. There are major changes happening to SummerSlam. What if I told you guys that WWE had a full card ready to go and that they actually ripped up the script? Yes, folks, that is legit, and I would not be surprised if that actually happened. The original plans for this year's SummerSlam pay-per-view have been completely scrapped. According to a tweet sent out by WrestleVotes, there's WrestleVotes again, WWE had a card in place for the show dating back a few months, but it has been torn up completely. In fact, 2 matches are no longer planned because of the injury suffered by Edge and former WWE champion Brock Lesnar not being able to work this show, or not being expected to work the show. He's able to work the show, but WWE will not bring him in, according to sources, because they don't want Brock Lesnar inside the Performance Center, inside an empty building. That's their reasoning. Regarding Lesnar, who hasn't been seen since dropping the WWE title to Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania 36, it is not likely that he will work the event because WWE doesn't have a desire to book him without fans. Now, what difference does that make? If WWE could get Brock Lesnar on TV, you mean to tell me that WWE will not want Brock Lesnar on TV to help put a huge Band-Aid, because that's all it will be, a huge Band-Aid on the lower than ever Monday Night Raw ratings? You know they're thinking, we got to get Brock Lesnar back on TV. You don't think that Vince McMahon and WWE management are thinking right now, let's get Lesnar on TV to pretty much boost the ratings on Monday night? I mean, look at what they're doing on Monday night this week. They're giving you Randy Orton and Big Show in an unsanctioned match. Everybody and their mother expected that match to be on Sunday's Extreme Rules show. WWE and their mentality is they're saving that for Monday because they feel like that match with that stipulation is going to help the ratings on Monday. It will not. Because if people aren't caring about Randy Orton and the Big Show now, or anything that's happening on Monday Night Raw now, the nostalgia that the Big Show they thought was going to bring Monday Night Raw as far as ratings go, it didn't happen then, it's not going to happen now. Nobody wants to see Randy Orton versus The Big Show. Everybody was intrigued, or at least somewhat interested, in Randy Orton versus Edge. Instead of actually being, I don't know, creative and using what you got within the company to sell the storyline further and make sense of it and give me a fresh ID here or a Tommaso Ciampa there or an Adam Cole there. No, they went with The Big Show. Nostalgia runs thin very quickly. But WWE thinks Big Show and Randy Orton's going to work. It's not. So you mean to tell me WWE is not going to bring in Brock Lesnar because empty fans or empty arena? No fans? Are you fucking serious? If Brock Lesnar can help the ratings right now for WWE get out of the 1.5 zone and get back up over 2, then they'll bring Brock Lesnar back to the PC and bring him back to TV. And you have someone that you could book him against at SummerSlam if you want. Instead of thinking of when things might get better, start booking the shows right now, no matter the situation that we're in. Start booking it better now. You never know what's going to happen. Nobody knows if it's going to get better in the future. Nobody knows if it's going to go back to normal, period. Start booking things now and start acting as if fans are really there. Because if the shows were good, I don't think the ratings would be as low as they are right now. Brock Lesnar could easily go one-on-one with Bobby Lashley at SummerSlam, and nobody would really bat an eye. I think people would be just as interested in that match now, no matter if there's PC talent there or if there's a full arena packed with 15,000. It doesn't matter. Do it. Bring some excitement to the show. Have fun with the fucking show. And I don't want to hear the excuse, oh, they're running thin on roster. Nobody's there. Some people are home, some people are there. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You're working out of a performance center. You got one centralized hub for everything WWE right now. I don't want to hear the excuses of who's there, who's not there, who's being able, to work and who's not able to work. I don't want to hear any of that shit. Maybe Lesnar, for all we know, doesn't want to work because of what's going on. But if you're going to offer Lesnar a payday, clearly you're not paying him to sit at home. He's being paid by appearance. If Lesnar wants to make money, he'll go no matter what. Maybe it's an executive decision from the Lesnar household. We don't know. But to say WWE doesn't want Lesnar there simply because there's no fans in attendance is a complete bullshit story. Give me a fucking break, folks. Do not believe the garbage you read online. Now, Dave Meltzer reported in the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter that Lesnar is not scheduled for SummerSlam. The former WWE champion hasn't been seen on TV since dropping the title to McIntyre at WrestleMania 36. Meltzer noted that one of the reasons he put over McIntyre so strongly was because he was not coming back anytime soon. I mean, he put Seth Rollins over in the same way, yet we've seen him back at SummerSlam. He put Roman Reigns over. He was right back doing the same thing with Roman. I mean, again, I don't believe this shit. He put over McIntyre just as good as he put over Rollins, did Lesnar. He put over McIntyre just as good as he put over Roman. Why is that a thing? in this article? Why is that the agenda that they're pushing? Oh, he put McIntyre over so big, so there's no reason for him to come back. Really? I don't believe it for a split second. Now, on the flip side, plans involving Edge. Never mind Lesnar. Nobody gives a shit about Lesnar. I don't give a shit if Lesnar's on TV or not. I would rather him not on TV because then WWE fans and the fucking shills and the blue check marks, they'll go crazy. Look, the ratings are going up. I want the ratings to continue going down because that's the only way that they will learn. That is the only way that it will set off a light bulb in their head. Hey, maybe we should change shit up. Maybe we should start listening to the fans. That's what I want to have happen. I know it's probably an unlikely situation, but that's what I want to happen. I want the ratings to continue going down. I really do. Now, as far as Edge goes, the plans for Edge have been nixed due to him undergoing surgery for a torn triceps. Here's the report from Meltzer. Was told this weekend the projected SummerSlam card that Creative had in place a few months ago has been torn up. Edge's injury played a big part, as well as the lack of audience. No fans means WWE has little desire to have Lesnar on pay-per-view. 2 major matches scrapped. WWE originally planned to hold SummerSlam at the TD Garden in Boston. However, due to the coronavirus and not being able to have fans attend, WWE reportedly made the call to host it at the Performance Center on August 23rd. I know for a fact that is happening. I wonder what WWE is going to do with TakeOver. Is it going to be another In Your House? What is WWE going to label this TakeOver as? Maybe they'll kind of center it around Keith Lee and Karrion Kross. They'll come up with some nice catchphrase or some cool name surrounding that big title match that I'm assuming we're going to get at TakeOver. We'll see what happens with that because clearly it cannot be TakeOver Boston. It cannot be TakeOver Performance Center. Again, maybe they do it In Your House again and center it around something like they used to do back in the day. TakeOver In Your House, whatever, Revenge of the Taker I'm using, or Mind Games. Back in the day, some classic In Your House events. Maybe they do NXT TakeOver In Your House and then title it, like I said, between Keith Lee and Karrion Kross and come up with something cool, something that sticks. Now, WWE is pre-taping their television shows and will usually get 2 episodes of each brand taped in one day. They keep the taping separate for brands to reduce the risk of a COVID-19 outbreak. The company is taking more precautions to make sure that they don't run into any more issues. The company could record multiple episodes of Raw and SmackDown next week. They are not doing that. Instead, they are only taping 1 episode of SmackDown and 205 Live on Friday before Extreme Rules. They are not taking any similar chances around SummerSlam. So that is exactly what they did last night. They taped whatever you seen last night was taped earlier in the day on Friday, and that was it. That was it. They're going back and doing the same thing next week. So they're not taping what they usually did in the weeks leading up to the last couple of pay-per-views. They taped the go-home show, and then they taped the follow-up show that very same weekend. So what you actually seen on the pay-per-view was happening live, but the post-show, the follow-up show, the SmackDown that followed the pay-per-view was already taped. So whatever they had taped for the pay-per-view was done before the pay-per-view actually took place. So they're not doing that right now. And they're not doing that for SummerSlam either because of COVID-19. Now, you never know what could happen on a daily basis. WWE's always changing their plans. They got COVID-19 to worry about. There are a couple of superstars who are not around right now that the company didn't count on not being allowed in the Performance Center. They don't want a future situation to cause them any more issues and any more headache when it comes to rounding out or building a card for SummerSlam, especially, which is their second biggest show of the year. Now, WrestleVotes and Meltzer talked about Edge and Lesnar not being there and how WWE had this script and it was ripped up, it was torn up. They got nothing as far as SummerSlam goes. Now, reportedly following WrestleVotes, Twitter, I guess, news-breaking article on SummerSlam, WWE reportedly now has a full SummerSlam card ready to go. Ringside News has followed up their story, WrestleVote story, and has learned that SummerSlam is booked. At least there's a lineup they're working from at the moment. Anything is possible to change, especially in WWE in 2020 due to various different situations. There were a few SummerSlam plans cemented prior to about a week ago, they say, And Ringside News says it was told to them that SummerSlam is booked because it has to be. SummerSlam is booked because it has to be. Of course it has to be. There's 4 weeks left until SummerSlam. As previously reported, like I just mentioned, Edge and Randy Orton was planned, not happening now. It was noted to us that Edge, they say, versus Orton isn't taking place, but to say plans changed or were ripped up is just nonsense. So they're actually claiming that WrestleVotes' tweet about the script being completely ripped up was nonsense. Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt's third encounter is still slated for the show. We can also confirm that Drew McIntyre vs. Randy Orton is happening as first reported by Lewis over at WrestleTalk. A rejected pitch involving Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville also was planned for SummerSlam. That was to be in a hair versus hair match. It was only pitched, never on the card. Brock Lesnar was never in WWE's plans for this year's SummerSlam, and neither were Roman Reigns or Ronda Rousey. WWE will be missing some star power this time around for their second biggest show of the year. There is a card booked, but there were no told stipulations that have been decided on at the moment of this report. It's hard to imagine a WWE pay-per-view during what is going on right now with the pandemic without a few stipulation matches. SummerSlam could also bring more cinematic matches to the table. So that is what Ringside News is reporting as far as SummerSlam in 2020 happening in the Performance Center. Now, I took it upon myself. I took the liberty of mock building a SummerSlam card, simply basing it off of what we've seen on television. Some of these matches are absolutely going to happen. Some of these matches definitely are leaning towards a possibility of happening just based on storylines. Nothing is confirmed yet, obviously. They got to get through Extreme Rules this Sunday. Some of these matches I just came up with on my own because of certain things happening, maybe moving one guy over to a different feud and using them simply because they're a bigger name. I don't know. Some of these people might not be used because of their reluctance to work the Performance Center. We don't know. But this is my mock SummerSlam card right now, being that WrestleVote said the script was ripped up. Ringside News says that was absolute nonsense, and there is a full card. This is what I could absolutely see happening at SummerSlam come August. Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. That is 100% not confirmed, but it is 100% happening. Sasha Banks versus Bayley for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. I could absolutely see that happening. Now, there were rumors that WWE might actually hold that off. Now, I even said their act is going so well right now that I don't even want to see them break up. WWE can hold this off of SummerSlam, put it at Survivor Series. It wouldn't make a lick of a difference because SummerSlam and the Survivor Series are going to be happening out of the same building. So you're not really getting the ambiance of a better atmosphere for SummerSlam or Survivor Series. It's going to be inside the Performance Center. So what's the difference if you wait till November? Or if WWE wants to wait and do it at Hell in a Cell in October? Who gives a shit? They've held big matches like that at a B-level pay-per-view. They did Sasha versus Becky last year inside Hell in a Cell, and it ended up being one of the best Hell in a Cell matches that the company has ever produced. So what would be the difference? It's all happening outside the performance, or inside, I should say. I don't know why I keep saying outside. Inside the Performance Center. So I don't really understand what the difference is. If you want to hold it off, and they very well may do that, maybe Sasha and Bayley want to hold it off because they want fans. They want the big payoff. They want the live interaction with the fan base. We don't know. If I know anything about Sasha and Bayley, that's probably what they want. Everybody wants that, but they might not have a choice. And WWE isn't the best when booking long-term storylines. They usually hit a wall. And right now, I just feel it. I sense it, that they're about to hit a wall. If this continues on past August and we haven't seen them broken up, and we go into August, into September, and then into October, WWE might be looking at themselves hitting a wall and not knowing where else to go with this shit. They've literally done everything they possibly could as far as telling the story of Bayley and Sasha Banks. Unless you want to give Sasha Banks the win over Asuka on Sunday night, I don't know what else you could do. Unless you want to unify the divisions, I don't know what else you could do. I really don't. So Sasha and Bayley is a possibility, but right now, we just don't know. If given the opportunity, they probably would say themselves, let's hold off on it and maybe come up with something else. At that point, what do you do with Bayley at SummerSlam? Maybe Bayley versus Naomi. She was trending on social media for the wrong reasons, but she was trending on social media. Maybe they do Bayley versus Alexa Bliss. God help us all. In fact, you know what? I'm going to shut up now because I'm just giving WWE ideas. We don't want any of that. We don't want Alexa. We don't want Lacey. We don't want anybody else. Right now, it's just Banks and Bayley on SmackDown, and that's all it really should be. That's all it really should be. Asuka versus Kyrie Sane is another rumored match to happen at SummerSlam. Charlotte, right now in the news, might not be able to make SummerSlam. She might not be back. Surgery. Elective surgery, by the way. And then she's actually filming a TV show which will take her past SummerSlam. Filming will happen through SummerSlam. So she might not be back for SummerSlam. And WWE reportedly is losing Kyrie Sane. This could be Kyrie Sane's last wish before she heads back to Japan and leaves WWE. Let me have a match with my good friend Asuka. Let's really kind of put the stamp on this women's evolution, if there is an evolution too. Let's set the tone right before we get into that show. Or they could save it. If there is going to be an announcement for that, they could save that match for Evolution. But by that time, that is announced and that show actually happens, Charlotte might be back and we might get Charlotte versus Asuka. So Kyrie Sane and Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship, that is a possibility in Kyrie Sane's send-off from WWE. The Street Profits versus Angel Garza and Andrade for the Raw Tag Team titles. I could absolutely see that happening. There is no other teams on Monday Night Raw right now, so that is it. Garza and Andrade defeated the Viking Raiders twice, so I could absolutely see that being a thing. Bobby Lashley versus Apollo Crews for the United States Championship. I am 100% certain that Apollo Crews will win his match against MVP, become the true United States Champion, and then MVP is going to send Bobby Lashley to go finish the job that he couldn't at SummerSlam and win the United States Championship, and goodbye Apollo Crews back to catering. So I can absolutely see that being a thing. Seth Rollins, when he vanquishes Rey Mysterio, and he is for the greater good of Monday Night Raw because Rey Mysterio needs to be vanquished for the greater good of Monday Night Raw, which, again, we don't know what that is or what the fuck that even means. He will probably go one-on-one with Kevin Owens, which we've seen already. And WWE right now is just cycling through the same old shit over and over and over again. I seen it at Wrestlemania, and it was the second best thing on that two-night show. Why must we see it again? I don't get it. I really don't understand it. Maybe they include Dominic. Maybe they include Humberto. Maybe Austin Theory's back by that time. Maybe Aleister Black gets involved. I don't know. Being that we've seen Rollins in black a couple of times on Raw, that would have been a great first time ever match at SummerSlam if you wanted to feud those two, but we've seen it already. Black doesn't feel special at all. I don't know, man. More than likely, it's going to be Owens and Rollins at SummerSlam, and we've seen it already. They work great, but how many times can you say it's great before getting bored? Matt Riddle versus Baron Corbin. I could absolutely see that being a thing. He lost to AJ Styles on Friday, and Baron Corbin and Matt Riddle's not going to be booked at Extreme Rules, so they'll probably save it for SummerSlam. Because they're not going to do Styles versus Riddle at SummerSlam. It just happened. Why would you give us that match 3 times in a month and a half? It doesn't make any sense creatively. It doesn't. So they'll probably go with Baron Corbin and Matt Riddle. What does AJ Styles do? I figured that Caleb Braxton asked Jeff Hardy on SmackDown on Friday, if you guys were listening, in that backstage vignette or the backstage promo that he cut, before Sheamus gave him the bro kick and attacked him from behind, Jeff Hardy mentioned the Intercontinental Championship and the fact that Sheamus took that opportunity away from him. And if they are booking a street fight, a bar brawl between Sheamus and Jeff Hardy, more than likely Jeff Hardy's going to get the victory. And if he gets the victory over Sheamus, he puts Sheamus in the rearview mirror, and then he goes after AJ Styles in the Intercontinental Championship. I could absolutely see Jeff Hardy versus AJ Styles for the IC title at SummerSlam. What does Sheamus do? I figured Sheamus goes up against the other guy vying for the Intercontinental Championship. That would be Daniel Bryan. If Daniel Bryan is back with the WWE, if he's okay to work the Performance Center, if he has signed the new deal, I do think he's a free agent come this summer. I don't know how he feels about working the Performance Center, being that his wife is about to give birth to their second child. Again, I don't know. Daniel Bryan might not even be on their show. I'm just now, one of the matches here, this I'm booking completely off the top of my head. Bryan wants another shot at AJ Styles in the IC title. Sheamus clearly wants that as well. Jeff Hardy wants that. I just kind of mix and matched. Everybody here vying for the IC title. Styles versus Hardy. Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan. Figured it could be a good match. And a nice mid-card feud to set the tone, chasing that IC title. Bray Wyatt versus Braun Strowman. Bray Wyatt is the Fiend versus Braun Strowman. You know they're about to kill the Eater of Worlds in this swamp fight. It's a non-title match on Sunday night. And you know for a fact that we went from Mr. Rogers Bray Wyatt to Eater of Worlds Bray Wyatt to the Fiend Bray Wyatt at SummerSlam. And that is where Braun Strowman loses because he won't be able to overcome his fears. And the fears that the Fiend are going to bring upon, or the Firefly Funhouse are going to bring upon Braun Strowman. They're going to be too much for him to overcome. And that's where Bray Wyatt finally gets back. Since February, we've been waiting for WWE to rectify that. Get the title back on Bray Wyatt. Again, if they fucked it up the first time, more than likely, I am positive they'll fuck it up again. Bray Wyatt will be the new Universal Champion, and they will probably set the tone for Roman Reigns coming back, whenever that may be, to take the title off of Bray Wyatt, and that's that. And again, I don't have any faith in WWE booking the Fiend character moving forward, even if they do give him the Universal Championship. The New Day versus Heavy Machinery for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Where is Otis? Otis is your Money in the Bank briefcase holder. Where is he? Is he out for obvious reasons, COVID? Or is WWE right now just, in typical WWE fashion, just sitting around not having anything to do with Otis? They don't have any creative ideas for Otis now that they gave him the briefcase. All we heard was that Otis is a Vince McMahon project. They're high on Otis. They gave him the briefcase because they got plans for him. If I'm WWE, and this guy's the Money in the Bank briefcase holder, I would absolutely start booking to take that thing off of him. If Bray Wyatt loses to Braun Strowman in the swamp fight, then have him chase Otis and have him lure Otis into the funhouse, have a match between those two, have Bray Wyatt win the briefcase, have Bray Wyatt cash in for one more opportunity at Braun Strowman, because Braun Strowman at the swamp fight feels like he would have buried Bray Wyatt once and for all, taken care of Bray Wyatt once and for all. The Fiend is not going to be an issue, but Bray Wyatt all of a sudden manipulates Otis to hand over the briefcase in a match, put the briefcase on the line, win it. Then he cashes in, and then that's how the Fiend gets Braun Strowman at SummerSlam. What is the purpose of Otis having the briefcase? What is the purpose of taking Otis away from Tucker and taking Heavy Machinery away from the SmackDown Tag Team division? Doesn't make any sense. You have no teams. Cesaro and Nakamura are nothing but a bench team. They are a fill-in team for the Forgotten Sons, who are not able to compete right now for obvious reasons. Miz and Morrison, they're about to break up. They're not going to have them as far as a tag team in the division anymore. Who else? The Usos are out. Who else? The Lucha House Party? Give me a break. I could book the Lucha House Party better than WWE could ever imagine booking the Lucha House Party. Bring them down to NXT and have them feud with Legado del Fantasma. Fuck a Drake Maverick. They want to envision a new age of cruiserweight or a new age of luchador, right? There you go. Target all the luchadors in WWE. Start with the Lucha House Party. That would be great. Six-man tag, 3-on-3. I mean, it speaks for itself. They got no tag teams. Heavy Machinery, to me, were a great tag team coming out of NXT, and they've done nothing with them on the main roster. They broke them up as quick as anybody. It reminds me of the days when American Alpha were there. WWE couldn't wait to break up American Alpha. They never got their feet wet on SmackDown. Before you know it, they were split up. Same thing with Enzo and Cass. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Why are you pushing one and not the other? They're more valuable together. Nobody, you ask anybody, even a casual, nobody thinks Otis is world championship material. Nobody thinks Otis is going to be the WWE Universal Champion. I love Otis. I think Otis is great, but I don't think his value is a singles guy right now. You did not even let Heavy Machinery walk into the coffee shop, never mind have a cup of coffee. I think their value is in the tag team division. Them and the New Day would be great at SummerSlam. And that's all I got. That's all I got for SummerSlam. Let me know what you guys think about that potential card for SummerSlam. Now, there were ideas pitched for the Universal title match at SummerSlam. Obviously, it's going to be Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman for a third time because WWE is lazy. They have no other heels on the show to challenge Braun Strowman for the Universal Championship and really make it seem important, even though it's not important now. You're not going to put anybody else in there. It's got to be Bray Wyatt or nobody else. So Braun Strowman stepped in to take Roman Reigns' spot at WrestleMania. He beat Goldberg, new Universal Champion. Ringside News has learned that WWE's plan, if Roman Reigns was able to make a return in time for SummerSlam, they were told that there were two options being discussed for Roman Reigns. He was either going to face Bray Wyatt or Braun Strowman. Now, clearly, that's not going to happen because the match on Sunday at Extreme Rules is a non-title match. If it was a title match, then Bray Wyatt would probably win, take the title to SummerSlam, and Roman would come back and challenge Bray Wyatt and then beat Bray Wyatt. And then that would be the end of Bray Wyatt. His character, the Fiend, would be completely dead. You might as well just keep him home and be a stay-home dad with JoJo. JoJo's first. You know, you JoJo, right? His wife. So that's what's going to happen. That's what would have happened for Roman Reigns. If this match was a title match on Sunday, that would be the possibility. That would be the likelihood, but it's not. So that means to tell me now that the match is a non-title match on Sunday at Extreme Rules in the Swamp Fight, that we're going to get this match again. Because why would Bray Wyatt not want the Universal Championship? You know that Universal Championship is going to be labeled for the Fiend. So Roman right there was in the plans, but being that it's a non-title match, clearly not. Roman Reigns isn't coming back in time for this thing to happen. Now Wyatt and Strowman are currently slated to face each other at SummerSlam. Roman Reigns will be back, but his return is not happening anytime soon right now. His name has been brought up backstage in various little situations, but really nothing substantial as of yet for Roman Reigns coming back. Roman Reigns isn't coming back for SummerSlam, but his name has been brought up here and there for plans. His absence didn't leave WWE with a lot of options for SummerSlam. Ringside News has learned that there was one other match considered for SummerSlam for the Universal Championship. The other option discussed is the one that they're going with. Braun Strowman is now slated to defend the Universal title against Bray Wyatt. The interesting part is that Roman Reigns played into two of the three Universal title options that WWE had for SummerSlam. Reigns is still on full quarantine, so WWE kept the title on Strowman, and they're running a third Bray Wyatt match. Wyatt and Strowman will battle in a swamp fight Sunday at Extreme Rules. This feud is likely far from finished as they will settle things at SummerSlam. That is the current plan for SummerSlam. So that is that, folks. Get ready for it. It's coming. But Roman Reigns, I wanted to throw that in there. Roman Reigns' name has been circulating backstage in regards to him possibly coming back, but nobody should hang their hat on Roman Reigns as of right now for SummerSlam. WWE actually started to build and tease Asuka versus Kyrie Sane at SummerSlam. The career of Kyrie Sane is very much still up in the air right now, and there are various rumors going around what she's going to do next in WWE. She's a former NXT Women's Champion. She managed to get married just before the pandemic took hold, allowing her to return to the United States and continue wrestling in World Wrestling Entertainment. However, Kyrie Sane's rumored plan is to finish up with WWE so she can return to be with her husband in Japan. A number of things have derailed that plan, including the pandemic and an injury she suffered at the hands of Nia Jax. Apparently, the original plan was to have Asuka avenge what would have been a storyline career-ending injury to Sane at SummerSlam. Now, I talked about this a couple of episodes ago on the podcast. Obviously, WWE sees no value in Shayna Baszler. Obvious reasons. I don't need to go over why. She's not blonde. She doesn't have a big ass. She doesn't have long legs. She's not blonde. She doesn't have big perky tits. She's not made of plastic. This is the truth of the reality, folks. If you don't like my language and the way I'm saying things, then please go take a walk. But that's the reason why. Now, Shayna made her return to TV on Monday. I don't know if that's going to be a regular thing or not. Now, WWE, they could be teasing all of us with Shayna Baszler back. They could have used Shayna Baszler because there was nobody else there readily available. So they were like, okay, we don't want to use her, and reluctantly had to use her because there was nobody else. Or maybe, like I said, Vince McMahon really did walk away from the tapings, left the second set of tapings before they began filming, and the cat was away and the mice will play. And people in the WWE wanted Baszler on TV, but Vince didn't want Baszler on TV, so that when Vince wasn't there overseeing the tapings, Baszler made it to TV. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I like to think. But the rumor was that Asuka and Shayna Baszler were going to be the Raw Women's Championship match at SummerSlam, and Kyrie Sane was going to be a catalyst in that. That it was supposed to be Shayna Baszler injuring Kyrie Sane so much, and Asuka would be the one to try and avenge that career-ending injury. She would leave WWE with Kyrie Sane. Asuka would be left with Shayna, and then Asuka would fall, giving Shayna, after 3 different opportunities where it was rumored she would be Raw Women's Champion going into her, I guess, debut on Monday Night Raw. Royal Rumble, she lost. She lost at WrestleMania when she should have won. She should have won the Rumble, but she didn't because Charlotte Flair needed the Rumble, right? Which amounted to nothing. Then she went into the Elimination Chamber, eliminated everybody, went to WrestleMania because she won the Chamber, lost to Becky Lynch when she should have won against Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch even wanted to put her over. She was supposed to win Money in the Bank, being that she lost against Becky at WrestleMania. She didn't win Money in the Bank. How many opportunities are we going to give Shayna Baszler when she should have already been the Raw Women's Champion? So Asuka versus Shayna would have been the match for Asuka to avenge the injury, career-ending injury, and she would have went to bat for Kyrie Sane. That was the story that they were building towards. That was meant for Shayna. Nobody else. Not Nia, not Charlotte, not anybody else. It was Shayna Baszler's feud at SummerSlam with Asuka. Now, if that was the plan obviously has changed. It now seems if Sane is indeed hurtling towards a farewell match in WWE, and it will be against Asuka. Now, I don't want to sit here and tell you that this cannot still happen. Maybe it will happen. I don't know. WWE could still do this. If Kyrie Sane is still leaving the WWE could still book a career-ending angle. Have Shayna come out, and after what she said on Monday Night Raw, everybody right now needs a dose of reality. The fun and games are over. We've heard her say that before. WWE could still book this storyline to happen in the way that it was originally planned to happen, with Shayna injuring Kyrie so badly, career-ending injury, Asuka comes in, and she loses the title to Shayna. But I don't think that's going to happen. It could very well still happen. They could do it if they want, but they won't, because Asuka is only holding that title for Charlotte. She's keeping it warm for Charlotte. WWE is either going to go with Charlotte versus Asuka and have Charlotte and Asuka be the storyline going into the rest of the year, or they're going to book a Nia Jax, Charlotte Flair, Asuka triple threat match, because it plays into the reason why Charlotte Flair lost to Asuka last time she was on Raw, with Nia being the catalyst in that factor. That's the reason. That's the one I'm going with. That was the original plan to happen at SummerSlam, but now Charlotte will not be at SummerSlam, which we'll talk about in a second. Those plans have changed. If Sane is indeed hurtling towards a farewell match in WWE, it will be against Asuka. The two of them appeared on Raw Talk this week after failing to defeat Bayley and Sasha Banks for the women's tag team titles. It was an emotional moment between the two real-life friends. Sane informed Asuka that she is ready when she wants for Asuka. The two agreed that if Asuka successfully defends the Raw Women's title against Sasha Banks at Extreme Rules, which she should, I don't think Sasha's going to win the title, Sane will be the next person who gets a shot. That will be a huge match, and more than likely will be right there, perfect for a Kyrie Sane farewell. Where that match takes place, I don't know. I don't know what the angle will be. I don't know how WWE will book this, but things have already begun to be teased on Raw Talk. If WWE threw that out there, I think that, A, it might not be solidified yet as plans, and they just threw it out there for fans to kind of say, oh shit, we got Asuka versus Kyrie Sane here. Maybe they're gauging interest from the fan base, which I doubt. When has WWE ever gave it a shit about the fucking fans? Or B, that is what they're really going with. And it's going to be used as a catalyst to try and keep Kyrie Sane in the WWE, and they want to make sure that Kyrie has everything in front of her. Hey, look, we're treating you right. We're going to take care of you. We're going to book you in a more meaningful way here. We're going to give you a match with Asuka. Please sign with us, because her contract is coming up. And they want her to stay, and they don't want to risk her going anywhere else at all. They want to keep her away from every other promotion possible. Those are the variables right now. Would I be down for it? Absolutely. I would much rather see WWE just get this mentality out of their fucking head, get the Charlotte Flair agenda out of their minds, and book Shayna, Asuka, Sane, if this is Sane's final fucking farewell in WWE and she doesn't want to be there anymore, book her in this. Have Shayna take her out. Have Asuka try avenge the attack by Shayna on Kyrie. And have Shayna take the title from Asuka. There you go. There you go. No more needs to be written. It'll be a nice reset for Shayna Baszler that's already been fucked over 3 different times in less than 6 months coming out of NXT. I think that's the right way to go about it. Even though Asuka versus Kyrie Sane is a beautiful farewell and it's probably a heartfelt moment, I think giving Shayna the opportunity that they fucked up on 3 times already is the right way to go about it if Kyrie Sane is indeed leaving the WWE. That's just my take on that. Speaking of Charlotte, she might not be back for SummerSlam. WWE right now might be looking at a SummerSlam without Charlotte Flair. Now, this is coming from Dave Meltzer. This is the latest update from Wrestling Observer Live. This is where he talked about Flair getting surgery, elective surgery, by the way. Elective surgery done, but also another factor that could impact her return to WWE television. Flair has a possible TV deal in the works, although Meltzer wasn't sure how far along it actually is. He noted that the TV project and surgery all play into when she will likely be back on WWE programming. It is believed to be a reality show, but that is not confirmed. Meltzer noted that when WWE officials wanted her to return for SummerSlam, but right now it's not looking like that time frame is possible because of the surgery and this specific TV project. Ric Flair also stated in a previous interview a couple weeks ago that Flair is working on a TV project, but no more information was given then. Meltzer ended by stating that when she comes back is undetermined at this point. Now, WWE could be simply hiding the facts. They want to hold Charlotte Flair off as a surprise and make her return on TV and then throw her right back into the thick of things on Monday Night Raw with the Raw Women's Championship. Either way, I don't care. I would much rather her be out. The division, the overall health of the division, the overall health of the shows is better when Charlotte Flair is not there. She doesn't make the show better. In fact, she makes the show worse. The show doesn't get better when Charlotte Flair is on there. More people reach for the remote control now when Charlotte Flair is off TV because of the way you've booked her. You've taken everybody for a fucking fool with what you did with Charlotte, winning the Royal Rumble, having her beat Rhea Ripley. Fans are fucking annoyed and they are over Charlotte Flair. Nothing will work when it comes to this woman. Keep her off TV. If she stays off TV until the end of the year going into WrestleMania season next year, that is what's best for the overall health of the division and the TV. Simple. I can't stand this anymore. She doesn't need to be at SummerSlam. WWE doesn't need Charlotte at SummerSlam. She doesn't need to be there. Just move on with others in the division. If she does come back, what you should really do is start using her to put over as other that you should have been doing when she was NXT champion. But you didn't do that. So now is your make good. Will it happen? Of course not. She'll be right back as Raw Women's Champion when she comes back. That's what WWE set it up for. The injury angle, that's what they set it up for. What I would do is I would have Charlotte come back and have Bianca versus Charlotte. If there is an Evolution, have Bianca versus Charlotte at Evolution, one-on-one, and have Bianca go over and then start elevating Bianca because that woman right there has all the capability, all the ability, all of the talent to be the face of not only that Monday Night Raw women's division, but the overall face of the division in general. She's the best athlete in that division, bar none. You give her the fucking ball and you let her run, and Charlotte should be the one facilitating that meteoric rise to the top. I don't give a shit what you think of Bianca Belair. She is it. She is it. And Charlotte should be it to put her over. Being that we reached now the halfway point of Off the Scripts for Saturday here, I want you guys to do something very important for me, okay? I want you to reach into your pocket. I want you to look at your wallet. Or if you don't have a wallet on you right now, walk over to wherever you put your wallet. Safely store your wallet. I want you to pick up your wallet. I want you to look at your wallet. I want you guys to look at it and think to yourself and ask yourself a question. Could I use a new wallet? And if the answer is yes, I got the perfect solution for you. The Ridge. This is my wallet right here. Today's podcast is brought to you by the one and the only, the Ridge Wallet. It's light, it's sleek, it's industrial, it doesn't bend, it doesn't fold, it doesn't look old like I know your wallet looks right now. It doesn't rip like I know your wallet is right now. It doesn't do any of those things. The Ridge Wallet is unbelievable. It doesn't bulge in your back pocket, and it seriously changed my entire outlook on wallets. Most people are still using wallets designed in the 90s. Why? Why are we using wallets designed in the 90s? Carrying around old receipts, gift cards, hotel room keys, pictures by people that you don't give a shit about, right? You don't give a shit about any of that stuff. Why are you carrying that stuff around? If most people right now moved on from large flip phones to smartphones, why are we still carrying around old wallets? Why are we still carrying around the same wallet? The Ridge Wallet holds up to 12 cards plus room for cash. There's over 30 colors and styles, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. I got the forged carbon. That's what I like, and I think this is unbelievable. I really love it, but don't take my word for it. They got 30,000 five-star reviews on the product, so they have a lot to be confident about. The durable materials means each wallet comes with a lifetime warranty. You could buy one wallet, one Ridge, and own it for the rest of your life. The Ridge team is so confident that you'll like it that they will let you test drive it for 45 days. You can even send it back and get a full refund if you don't love it. Guys, it's simple. It really is. Get yourself a Ridge. The one thing that I hated about my old wallets is that they ripped and it looked disgusting. I felt embarrassed pulling out my wallet anywhere where I went out, having dinner, having a beautiful craft beer at a nice beer hall. I felt embarrassed. I know for a fact that it's not going to scratch. It looks great. And it has RFID blocking qualities, so I know that all my cards and all my ID and all my information are safe and secure from hackers. Get 10% off today. If you enjoyed the Ridge Wallet and anything I had to say about the Ridge Wallet, get 10% off today using ridge.com/script. Use code SCRIPT at checkout. Get yourself the best wallet in the industry today. That is Ridge. Free worldwide shipping, free returns, ridge.com/script. Use code SCRIPT at checkout and get yourself the best wallet going today. Ridge.com/script. Man, I had to turn on the air conditioner. It's not like I'm even ranting or raving or yelling at the top of my lungs. It's not like I watched a 3-hour horrendous edition of Monday Night Raw, but it got so hot in here that I had to turn on the air conditioner. I had the fan going at low, on a low setting. So if you guys hear any rumbling or any buzzing in the background, it's my air conditioner. I was sweating my balls off, and now it feels nice in here. So I can actually finish this podcast in a nice, cool room. And that's what I need to give you guys the maximum right here on the podcast. Anyway, man, let's continue on. Go get yourself a Ridge, really. I love it. I absolutely love it, and I know you guys will as well. So I thank them for sponsoring the podcast. Continuing on. SmackDown ratings are in. The overnights are in right now for SmackDown. Last night, Riddle, Styles, main event, IC title. This week, SmackDown brought in an average overnight rating of 1.893 million viewers. This is down 8,000 from the 1.905 million that Friday did last week. I don't really understand why the rating was up from the previous week before that of 1.777. That was the 4th of July holiday number. People using that as an excuse. Give me a fucking break. Really, the show has been terrible. The show's been dead for months, for years. And now you're blaming 4th of July. Are people going away? Where are they going? Where are you traveling to for 4th of July? You know you are fucking home, barbecuing with the friends and the family. Give me a break. So SmackDown last night, they drew an average of 1.893, down 8,000. This is obviously the go-home show for Extreme Rules. Not really good. The overnight number usually comes in a little bit higher than the actual rating. They will not be released. The numbers for the actual rating, the demographics and all that will not be released until Monday. But that is the overall viewership for the overnights coming out of last night's SmackDown. Now, the show wasn't good. There was a lot of questionable creative decisions, mainly Matt Riddle losing clean on SmackDown. Whether or not you agree with that, I don't really give a shit. Matt Riddle should not be losing 1 month in, after debuting on SmackDown, it would have been very easy to book Baron Corbin fucking him over, leading to a match at SummerSlam. But instead, you have him lose clean. People are saying, JD, you're looking at it a little bit too much. You know, he lost by having the bro mission countered. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Why is nothing special anymore? Why did this match happen 2 times already, with the third possibly happening at some point this fall? Why? Does nothing remain special anymore? Is nothing special to you guys? Why call up somebody like a Matt Riddle from an NXT that has all the potential in the world to be a face of this fucking company, and you have him lose immediately? When was the first time he suffered a loss in NXT? It was a what? It wasn't a month? It wasn't a month? You people said the same fucking thing to me when Ricochet. This is why I don't believe anybody. I don't listen to anybody when they tell me, oh, JD, you're taking it too hard. You're dissecting it a little bit too much. You motherfuckers said the same thing to me when Ricochet lost to AJ Styles. Oh, it's AJ Styles. Don't worry, Ricochet's gonna be okay. Oh, yeah? Where's Ricochet now? Wearing boy shorts. And he's down in catering with Cedric Alexander, not going anywhere. So please, elaborate on why I shouldn't be upset Matt Riddle lost to AJ Styles. Ricochet lost to AJ Styles. I'm not saying that Matt Riddle's going to end up like Ricochet. But what good did it do Ricochet? Then, none. It didn't do anybody good there. It's not going to do Matt Riddle good either. Yeah, and I'm supposed to be excited when Adam Cole gets called up to the main roster. If they're already having Matt Riddle lose on SmackDown, what do you think is going to come when Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era make their main roster debuts? Not really all that exciting. This is why people do not get invested in NXT, because every time you like somebody in NXT, you know their fate before it even happens. Everybody is a modern-day Nostradamus. You see the writing on the wall. I can't get invested. Really can't. WWE buried John Morrison. For whatever reason, I don't know. You're breaking him up from The Miz is a possibility. But you could have booked anybody in that situation. You could have had Braun Strowman go out there and cut a promo on fucking anybody. You got all these recruits inside the Performance Center, and you opt to go for John Morrison? Why? Because John Morrison had a great match with Matt Riddle a couple weeks ago? Now you want to bury him for standing out on his own? Oh, he got too much praise on social media. Let's pull the leash back on John Morrison. Give me a fucking break. I don't believe that is going to help John Morrison in the future. I don't think anything that happens on SmackDown is going to be beneficial for future programming. They don't think that way. They book the now. They don't know what they're fucking doing tomorrow. You're going to tell me that this is going to be good for John Morrison? Give me a break. Sasha Banks, Bayley, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, same old shit. They subbed Alexa out, put Asuka in, gave us the same tag team match that we've seen for a month and a half now. SmackDown sucks. SmackDown sucks. Cesaro and Big E, decent, who cares? They're trying to make you believe that Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro are going to take the tag team titles from the New Day. Really? Really? And Tony Storm is knocking on my door right now. Can't wait to go out with me and have a beautiful day in the city. Give me a fucking break. New Day are not losing those tag team titles. I gave you an opportunity to maybe think about, hey, well, WWE usually thinks the opposite of what the fans expect. For example, if everybody's expecting Cesaro or Nakamura to lose on Sunday night, WWE is going to do the opposite just to get one over on the fans. So I can absolutely see the tag team championships going to Nakamura and Cesaro, and then having that same match happen again at SummerSlam because they have no other teams in the tag team division. And then it also gives another number on the New Day's reign as tag team champions in WWE. Again, pushing the agenda that they're the greatest of all time because they've held the tag team titles all these numbers of times. Meanwhile, nobody really attributes that to, well, if you won it 10 times, that means you lost it 9 times. So how good are you really? I think they're great at what they do, but that doesn't make them the greatest tag team of all time. There are others ahead of you, man. I always say, It's not the number of reigns you have, it's what you do within that reign. This is why Charlotte Flair is not the greatest of all time. Blow me if you think I am bullshitting. SmackDown. Why did they book that terrible karaoke segment on Friday last week? Well, according to Ringside News, they learned that WWE had intentions with this segment, and none of them were set to really give you a negative feeling on women's evolution or women's wrestling in WWE. None of them were to set the evolution of women's wrestling back. That is what their mentality was. 3 short phrases were given to us here at Ringside News that would explain why Vince McMahon went in this direction. The reasons for the segment were, A, we tell stories, B, it's good entertainment, and C, it's not just another match. So let me dissect this, folks. It's good entertainment. No, it was not anywhere close to being good entertainment. It was downright fucking awful and embarrassing. So it's not good entertainment. We tell stories. What was the story going into the match? Or what was the story going into this segment, I should say? There was no story. WWE really didn't elaborate on any fucking stories. You turned Lacey Evans into a babyface after she came onto the scene as a heel. Then you turned her back into a heel with this situation when she attacked Naomi. Was that elaborated on? Did we get the reason why Lacey Evans attacked Naomi? Are we to believe that she's a sore loser and she couldn't stand losing a fucking karaoke contest on SmackDown? Yes, but we tell good stories, though. We don't tell good stories, and we're not entertainment. Good entertainment, anyway. And it's not just another match. Don't you have the women's evolution kind of looking at you head on? It's not just another match. The entire women's evolution is supposed to be about the women getting wrestling matches, about showcasing what they can do in the ring, evolution of the women's division. How is this a part of the women's evolution? How is this supposed to be something that's not going to set the women's evolution back? Are you fucking mental? Are you mental? It's not just another match. All we want is another match. We want competitive fucking competition. Competitive wrestling matches with one loser, one winner. We want to see women like Naomi and Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan and Bianca Belair and Shayna Baszler winning fucking matches, ascending the heights, getting championship opportunities. That's what the whole basis of the evolution is about. That wasn't showcased here. That wasn't anywhere visible here. Also, we spoke with a source in the company, says Ringside News. They admitted the segment was embarrassing. Vince McMahon thinks it's good entertainment. We tell stories, and then we got people who work underneath somewhere. It might have been the janitor. Who the fuck knows? The guy's cleaning fucking toilets inside the Performance Center. He was watching on because he had cleaned all the restrooms in the PC. He wanted to take a little snack break for himself because Titus has Lay's potato chips out there in the PC. Figured to take himself a potato chip break with a nice Diet Coke. Watching this fucking shit, he probably told Ringside News, hey, this is embarrassing. I've been here, I've seen people come and go, this is embarrassing. And it absolutely was. Some weren't happy about Lacey Evans wrestling shoeless in a dress either. The women in WWE fought hard to be called superstars. The argument is that they should be presented as athletes, but that wasn't apparent on SmackDown last week. There was no malice behind it, says Ringside News, says the source. Now, any chance to get on television, you know, the shills and the blue check marks, any chance to get on television is good TV for said individual. No, it's not. I would rather none of these women be used, and I would rather them sit in catering than be embarrassed like this. This was a laughingstock all over social media, where social media right now is more prevalent than ever in any industry. You're going to go out there and have all of this back. Like, people were fucking blaming the women in the ring for this shit. So much so that Naomi had to come out and apologize on behalf of Monday, or not, well, I guess it's the same fucking creative team, Monday and Friday's creative team, on SmackDown for the segment. She apologized for Raw and SmackDown creative. We're trying. We want better. We're fighting for better. I'm sorry, she says. Honey, you don't have to apologize for anything. Naomi should not be apologizing for anything. In fact, WWE management should be apologizing to women like Naomi for not utilizing them correctly, for holding them down, for not thinking that there's more there. Unreal. Lacey Evans also turned heel during the segment. No mention of that was explained. There's stories being told here. Where? Why? You didn't tell me the why, so in my eyes, there's no fucking story. That was that. Naomi was actually trending on social media. Naomi was trending on social media for all the wrong reasons. Hashtag Naomi deserves better started trending in the United States because of the feeling that WWE is burying Naomi instead of pushing her like a top star. People in WWE management may disagree that Naomi is being buried, but it's clear that many fans on social media feel that she is being overlooked. She was trending in the top 20 because of what had happened on SmackDown. And this obviously has to do with last week's embarrassment, the karaoke, and then this week, where she had a match with Lacey Evans, and her braids got tied up in the ropes, and she lost because of a loser's right. You can't trust a woman that's going to steal the Big Show's finisher. Give me a break. People were lit on social media. Naomi deserves better. Stop giving this woman the short end of the stick. There were clips of her returning at the Royal Rumble. She has charisma and star power written all over her. To be treated better than what she's given and is better than half of the girls there. She literally went viral when she returned. She's been in this company for so long and works harder than most of the roster. All we want is better treatment for her. And then there's pictures of her reinventing herself. Who's reinventing themselves like her? Who's staying relevant like her? That I gotta give her props on. She's changed multiple times over multiple years and still tried to only get better, and they're not using her to her full capability. It's been 5 years since Naomi cut a promo, and it's still remaining relevant. Let me see what this says.
Can you explain to us now what motivated you to attack Paige, let alone doing so in her own country?
Well, you know, Saxton, I feel really disappointed in myself for losing my cool out there and attacking Paige the way I did. Yo, right. I could care less. And are you an idiot like everybody else? I mean, Saxton, this isn't about Paige. This isn't about the country we're in. This isn't about people's emotions, honey. This is about me. Me. Let me ask you this. Who's the Divas champion?
Nikki Bella.
Exactly.
Nikki Bella.
Nikki Bella, the diva I beat twice. So tell me this. Why did we have to have a Divas Battle Royal tonight?
I don't know.
Exactly. Nobody knows. It doesn't make sense. It's ridiculous. It blows my mind. I mean, do wins and losses mean anything around here? I was in the same season of NXT as AJ, and I was good. Now AJ's gone. AJ's had her opportunities. Girl after girl has had their opportunities, and I'm still sitting here just asking and wanting a chance. While AJ is retired and everyone's excited about it and calling her a legend. Are you kidding me? Like, really, how much do y'all think a person could take? But I tell you what, all that stops now because I'm over it. I think people have taken my kindness for weakness for way too long. So I'm not waiting or asking for a chance anymore. I'm taking it.
That was 5 years ago. Now, this person says it's been over 5 years since Naomi cut that promo, and it's awful that it still remains relevant. She needs to stop being overlooked by WWE. Everyone is dumb because she could easily make you a ton of money. She is an incomparable star and talent. Hashtag Naomi deserves better. I mean, I think we all know this, but you guys need to start opening up. This is why I am the way that I am. I don't give these people any benefit of the doubt. Nothing will change. I tell you once, I'm going to say it again. Naomi is not in their criteria of women that they want to push on TV, folks. And it's very painful to hear. I know. The reality of the situation is Naomi doesn't fit their model female. She isn't 5 foot. She isn't Alexa Bliss or Charlotte Flair. She isn't blonde. She's not made of plastic. The color of her skin obviously plays into a factor as to why she isn't higher on the card or hasn't received title opportunities. Why isn't she a Hall of Fame inductee waiting to happen? The best thing that Naomi can hang her hat on is the fact that she's married to one of the Usos. It's a shame, I know. You got to get over the fact that, no matter how much you cry on social media, nothing's going to change. This company's not going to listen. They'll listen for a little bit because they don't want the negative press. They'll listen for a little bit because they don't want people to not watch the show, which right now are majorly just numbers all over the place, sinking down and down and down as far as people not watching the show. Has nothing to do with Naomi, but they will not push Naomi because of what I just said. She's not in their criteria of female, no matter how much you cry. Look at how much we all rant, bitch, complain, and moan on social media for WWE to be better. Do they actually get better? No. Nothing changes. They do what they want because they think they are right. Fuck everybody else. Fuck the fans. They don't give a shit about the fans. They don't give a shit about what we want, who we want to see pushed, what we want to have happen on the show. We don't care. Or we don't matter. We care, but they don't care that we care. They're going to do what they want to do anyway. You're going to watch. We don't matter. We're going to watch anyway. And the reality of the situation is many people are not watching anymore. Maybe they should look at the fucking numbers that come in week after week after week. Nobody's watching the fucking shows anymore. Now, if you guys know, there are masks. Get your masks. Mouthmasker.com/OTS. Get your off-the-script masks. But people inside the PC, everybody you see now on TV is wearing a mask. If you're not, there's a $500 fine. That's a first offense. A second offense will be a $1,000 fine. That's a lot of money for an NXT recruit. That's a lot of money for an NXT talent not making main roster money. $1,000 is a lot of money. Now, it was reported earlier this month that WWE took further action in an attempt to keep talent and staff safe from COVID-19 while working TV tapings outside of the Performance Center. They did so by enforcing a policy about protective masks at the PC. It was later reported that the policy came about when a wrestler who just returned from hiatus voiced concerns to WWE Chairman and CEO Vince McMahon about people in the company not taking social distancing and masks seriously. Now, this is coming from WrestlingNews.co. There, Paul Davis was told that there was a lot of frustration from staff and wrestlers because the feeling was that McMahon was not taking COVID seriously. John Pollock of Post Wrestling has a report up about some information on the policy during the July 9th edition of a French language podcast, which I will not go into the name of because I just don't want to botch the name. I don't speak French and I don't want to embarrass myself, but John Pollock is reporting that there was some additional information coming out of this specific French language podcast that talks pro wrestling. Now, it was reported that it was Kevin Owens who raised concerns at the tapings on July 3rd that led to the new mask policy. Per the report, Owens went to McMahon and told him that he was not comfortable over the lack of masks being worn and people being too close. He even then told McMahon that he was going home. McMahon asked Owens what he thought the company should do, which led to Owens responding to him that McMahon was the only person the crew was going to listen to. Apparently, Owens brought up how he once swore on an episode of SmackDown and got fined as a result. Owens never did it again. The point of this being brought up was that if a company finds a talent, then the chances of that talent doing it again are very slim. Finally, the report notes that Owens saw people wear masks and keep their distance. He decided to stay for the specific set of television tapings. This doesn't come as a surprise, as Owens has been very vocal about precautionary measures that people should be taking. He even filmed himself on Twitter and went over the story that his wife's grandfather recently passed away from COVID. He removed himself from television for a few weeks because of the recent spikes in positive tests that were actually being conducted inside the Performance Center. Owens' wife, like I mentioned, her grandfather passed away from COVID before Owens made this decision to go talk to Vince McMahon. And like I said, people who do not wear masks, first fine $500, second offense $1,000. So Owens said, masks, social distancing. The only one that is going to be able to say this and get this instituted and mandated is you. Can't be on a written note that is spread across the Performance Center through the locker room. It can't be on an app. Very indirect and very impersonable, right? But if McMahon stated this and mandated it himself, fines, masks, social distancing, then it's going to work and people will listen. And things will get better. And McMahon listened to Kevin Owens. I'm happy he spoke up. More people should speak up, not only when it comes to situations like this, but in general. And there really isn't anything to add here. You've seen it for weeks on TV now. People are wearing masks. I have not seen one person in the last 2 weeks not wearing a mask. Eric Bugenhagen, my boy Boogs, he was caught on camera wearing his mask down on his chin with his face exposed. And I do agree with him that he wanted to generate some excitement towards the show. You can't really see his level of excitement with his face covered. During certain segments, he would pull it down and he would show everybody how excited he was, and he would bring some charisma to the show, bring some excitement to the show. You really can't see that with the masks being, over your face. People came at him on social media. People were criticizing him. Wear your mask. What are you doing? You're putting everybody in jeopardy. Meanwhile, he was social distanced. It's not that big of a deal. If he wants to add some extra excitement to the show, then God bless him. He's there for the right reasons. He cares. But people came down on him. Even then, at that moment, when people came down on him, he was the first guy I was looking at. He's still Rick Boogs. He's still Boogs. But now he's got a mask on. Kevin Owens, no matter what was done here, with Roman Reigns being out, with Seth Rollins probably going away to go be with Becky Lynch in a little bit because she's pregnant, when you want to talk about leader of the locker room, leader of the current WWE locker room, who's there full-time, who are you going to look at? I think after this situation, you cannot look any further than Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is the locker room leader of WWE with everything that's going on in this pandemic era. I'm glad he spoke up. And Vince McMahon listening to Kevin Owens, a lot of people are like, oh, WWE doesn't appreciate Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens spoke up from the heart about this situation. Vince McMahon actually listened to Kevin Owens and gave everybody the mandate coming from Kevin Owens because this was a concern to him. What does that say? Not only about Kevin Owens being the locker room leader, but what does that say about what Vince McMahon thinks of Kevin Owens and what he has to say for the overall betterment of WWE? Vince McMahon obviously takes whatever Kevin Owens feels and says very seriously. Because there was reports that Vince McMahon didn't take it seriously, and now all because Kevin Owens spoke up, now he's following the rules? Very interesting situation. Speaking of Kevin Owens, we talked about Kevin Owens being at the top of SummerSlam's card in a match with Seth Rollins. That is more than likely going to be the case. WWE has booked an eye-for-an-eye match between Rollins and Mysterio at Extreme Rules. That we know. That will be partly cinematic from what we were told. The only way a winner can be determined in that match is if a wrestler pulls out their opponent's eyeball. Mysterio's been working without a contract in WWE. Despite this, WWE is still using Mysterio on television. Mysterio's been working on the same as his previous deal, the same terms as his previous deal with WWE that was supposed to be for 18 months. He had an opt-out clause, which I believe he took. Meltzer stated that if Mysterio doesn't sign a new deal, then WWE would go back to a program between Owens and Rollins. He noted that if Mysterio does sign a new deal, it may still be Owens versus Rollins in a new program going forward after Extreme Rules because Owens is figured high on the card. Meltzer pointed out how this direction for the two stars was revisited on Monday's episode as they wrestled a match. A very good match, but not something I really want to revisit because at Wrestlemania with Owens winning, that chapter was closed. And at WWE, because they have nothing else to do, because they have shitty creative writers, and they have no creative vision, they're going back to what worked in April because they have nothing moving forward. I don't care. Then you should have really taken Aleister Black into consideration and started building him up in a match against Seth Rollins. Give me a break. Owens and Rollins, good. It's a good undercard match, but we've seen it so many times that I can't even fathom how people are going to generate any interest or care for what's happening again between these two. What, now that he vanquishes Rey Mysterio, now it's got to be Kevin Owens needs to be vanquished for the greater good of Monday Night Raw. Meanwhile, we don't even know what the fucking greater good is. And what happens then? Is it 50-50 booking? Because Rollins is undoubtedly going to beat Mysterio. What happens at SummerSlam when Owens himself needs a win? Owens beat him at WrestleMania, so what do you mean to tell me? Owens is going to lose to Rollins at SummerSlam? 50-50 booking, folks. The old 50-50 booking rears its ugly head. Spare us. Nobody cares. Kevin Owens actually asked Vince McMahon about moving back to NXT as well. This actually was reported this week, and Owens has been back in NXT once before, and he was there for the War Games match, if you guys remember, against the Undisputed Era, teaming with Keith Lee, Tommaso Ciampa, and Dominik Dijakovic. Now, fans wanted a longer stint for Owens in NXT. Actually, fans thought that Owens was back in NXT for good, but it was not meant to be. It turns out that Owens wanted that to be the case, too, during an interview with Brent Brookhouse of CBS Sports. Kevin Owens revealed that he spoke to Triple H and Vince McMahon about returning to NXT to help bolster the brand and bring it up to the same level as Raw and SmackDown. For a while there, it looked like I was going back to NXT. I even had discussions with Vince McMahon about it. I was excited about it. I don't know if it would have been long or short term. We now know that longer stint didn't come down to Vince McMahon not wanting me to be there. And KO was vague about why it didn't happen in the end. He simply explains that decisions were made, and those decisions included him remaining on Raw and SmackDown. So that's that. Owens asked, and he thought he was going back to NXT, but that was not the case. And I don't think Owens would have made a lick of a difference anyway on NXT. I really don't. And a lot of people, they would have looked at that as a negative thing for NXT. Oh, here they are using more main roster guys to get the step up on AEW. That's all you would have heard. I know I would have said it. And Finn Balor hasn't really made much of an impact on NXT. So what good would Kevin Owens do? It probably would have ended up being the same thing. Now, I do think that there is, or if there is a draft, or if there is a shakeup, that I do think some people should be moved from Raw and SmackDown that you're not using and brought back down to NXT. I do think that NXT should be used in a draft or a shakeup if there will be one in the future, which I feel there should absolutely be one. I really do. If you're not using them on the main roster, like Ricochet or a Cedric, move them down there. Honestly. It should be done. They're on USA Network. They are a legit third brand in the company. They're no more a developmental brand. They should be treated as a part of the main roster. You included NXT in the Royal Rumble. You included NXT in the Survivor Series. It probably will end up being the same thing because they're going to want to beat AEW in the ratings. So that's exactly what they're going to do. It gives them the reason to bring main roster guys back down to NXT and have that, oh my God, brand warfare. That's going to happen. If that is the case, then you should be able to do the same thing with a draft and a shakeup as well. Owens, again, it would have been good. Maybe a match with Adam Cole, maybe a match here with Velveteen Dream, maybe a match here with Dijakovic or Keith Lee. Yeah, there are matches that I would love to see Kevin Owens wrestle in NXT. But more than likely, we're going to see those matches happen on the main roster. Dijakovic is about to make his main roster debut eventually. I'm assuming after SummerSlam. Keith Lee's going to be brought up. Adam Cole's going to be brought up. It's going to happen. So why bring Owens to NXT to have that happen as it looks desperate? Why don't you just give Lee and Cole and Dijakovic and all those guys the call-up, demotion is what I call it, a call-up to the main roster and have it just happen naturally over there on the bigger stage instead of bringing Owens down to the smaller stage where there's less eyes on the product. Honestly, just wait. You're going to get all those matches anyway on Raw and on SmackDown. NXT actually was without one female. And main roster actually called her up to the main roster in February and hasn't been used since. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select reports that Vanessa Bourne was called up to the main roster. Reportedly, Bourne was called up as far as January or February. However, she has not made her debut on the main roster. This is why she has been absent from WWE television. While Bourne is still waiting on her debut, she hasn't been brought in for television events regularly since then. Bourne's situation, says Sean Ross Sapp, was compared to that of Riddick Moss, who had a deal coming up and then was promoted to the main roster upon re-signing. End quote. Now, I got word from my source. I got word that Vanessa Bourne was called up from NXT to the main roster because of Paul Heyman. She was supposed to be a Paul Heyman project. Now that Paul Heyman is not there, and Vince McMahon probably had it in his mind that he wanted to get rid of Paul Heyman anyway after WrestleMania, being that February, March, April, not really all that far away from WrestleMania. He probably knew in his head he was going to get rid of Paul Heyman anyway, and being that he was directly responsible for calling her up and wanting her from NXT on either a Raw or SmackDown. I was assuming Raw, being that he was working as the executive director, that he wanted her there, and now that he's not there, now they probably don't even want her. Why was she called up to begin with? Why did Paul Heyman call her up to begin with, is what I want to know. She was called up, left to wait while WWE deals with various challenges. You know, they haven't used her at all. WWE had the COVID-19 stuff happening since March. That has resulted in WWE holding events at the Performance Center. There was also a shift in creative as Vince McMahon decided to change direction on Raw by removing Paul Heyman as executive director, replacing him with Bruce Pritchard. There's no word on her status or when she will debut on the main roster. She shouldn't debut on the main roster. That's what should be done. She shouldn't be debuting on the main roster. Why was she called up? I'm going to use the analogy here that I use every single time. I always attribute this to being something similar to you marinating a steak. Vanessa Bourne is literally a piece of meat on the shelf at the supermarket. You buy it, it looks great. It looks great. You take it home. You don't season it. You don't marinate it. You throw it right on the fucking grill. You cook it up to your heart's desire, and then you expect it to taste good at the dinner table with no marinating, no seasoning, and you know for a fact you gotta let that fucking shit marinate for about 2-3 days, tops. If you wanna go 7 days, fine. Season it. Make it seasoned. Pepper, salt, onion, garlic, rosemary, basil, oregano, whatever the fuck you got going on. Right? You just take the piece of meat, you throw it on the goddamn grill, and you expect it to be a hit at the dinner table. It's not. Looks good, but it doesn't taste good. That's exactly what Vanessa Bourne would have been to Monday Night Raw. She is as green as the fucking dollar bills you have in your pocket right now. She is as green as fucking grass. And you would put her on Monday Night Raw for what? Beautiful woman, don't get me wrong, but that's all she will end up being. She can't wrestle. This is why NXT exists. This is why the Performance Center exists. She was on TV in NXT with Aaliyah. She amounted to nothing. Then you expect me to believe in Vanessa Bourne on the main roster? We already have enough Vanessa Bournes on the main roster. They're Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. Even at that point, I'd probably say she's better than both of them combined. Which is another fucking sad sack of information. That's just terrible. Really. If she was going to be on the main roster, you might as well just pair her with the Iconics, because she'll fit right in there. She ain't Australian, but she'll fit right in there. That's how bad she was. Please. She was a Paul Heyman project, and Paul Heyman is no longer there, so Vanessa Bourne should not be there. And how long would she wait to even get anything substantial on the main roster? If she went blonde, she'll probably get preferential treatment. She's not blonde. She's a brunette. Brunettes don't go far in WWE, folks. Just look at who's on TV. Moving on here, man. Monday Night Raw sets all-time new record low for ratings. I'm so just over Monday Night Raw. We know it sucks. I don't even have the energy to shit on it anymore. You just know it sucks. The 18 to 49 demos, so hour one had a 0.49. then a 0.48 for hour 2, and a 0.48 for hour 3. The hourly viewership breakdown was 8 p.m., 1.58, 9 p.m., 1.59, 10 p.m., 1.50. So Monday Night Raw set an all-time new record low for ratings. WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Bayley and Sasha Banks versus the Kabuki Warriors was the top match in the main event slot in hour 3, and it was the go-home show for Extreme Rules this Sunday. It was also, and I made fun of this on Monday, it was also hyped up as the night of grudge matches. It's pretty much WWE telling you, hey, bro, you don't have to watch. It's all reruns. It's all rematches that you've seen previously already. Please, go do something else more important. We got you. We'll come back next week. And even then, now they're selling Randy Orton versus The Big Show in an unsanctioned match on Monday's Raw. Oh, man, I can't wait to not give a shit. Raw is terrible, folks. What do you want me to say about it? What do you want me to say about it? The overall rating was a 1.561. Terrible. The show sucks. If you think Raw is good right now, you are an absolute fucking cancer to the overall situation. You proactively do not want the show to be better. Simple. That's why people come and listen to me more so than anybody else in the community on Monday night. And Friday. Because you're all shills. Every single fucking one of you. Shills. I was sick to my stomach with people praising Monday and Friday this week. Praising SmackDown last night. What are you smoking? Please, I would love some. I would love to see what you're seeing and what I'm not seeing. Stop sucking cock. Seriously, it's disgusting. It really is. John Cena. Yes, there's John Cena news. Rumor killer on John Cena and his WWE contract expiring. This was in the news. I don't know why. This was noted by Paul Davis of WrestlingNews.co. Meltzer mentioned something about John Cena and his contract expiring, reportedly. Then it was reported Meltzer never mentioned anything about Cena and this rumor. It's merely speculation that somehow got around on Twitter, but there isn't any news on Cena's contract status whatsoever. People were like, oh, John Cena's a free man. He could show up in AEW. He could show up in New Japan. John Cena is not going anywhere. Are you fucking serious? The Undertaker tried to do StarCast and then play it off as if he didn't know what StarCast was or what StarCast was associated with. Vince McMahon got wind of this. He pulled The Undertaker from StarCast, gave The Undertaker a goddamn fucking 50-year contract till the day he dies to not do anything outside WWE. You mean to tell me that Vince McMahon is going to let John Cena walk into another rival promotion or do a fucking signing away from WWE? Folks, John Cena is in WWE prison for the rest of his life. He ain't going anywhere. It's either WWE or Hollywood. He's opted to choose Hollywood, and now he doesn't want anything to do with pro wrestling because he doesn't need it no more. He doesn't need it no more. John Cena is quickly becoming one of those guys that is, in Hollywood, someone who doesn't need WWE, but WWE needs them. Just like the WWE needs The Rock, and they resent The Rock a little bit for him going on and being the biggest Hollywood star ever. They're going to resent John Cena. They resented Batista, right? They definitely resent Batista. So you know it's coming. John Cena's going to get the same treatment from WWE because they're petty sons of bitches. John Cena is not going anywhere. He said this, WWE is my family. They'll always be my family, and none of any of this exists without them, and I will never forget that. I don't think I'll ever retire because I don't look at it like that. You don't retire from your family. I will never, ever stop waving the WWE flag. I don't think I'll ever separate myself from them. So that's what he stated. He stated that Cena is right now a free agent, reportedly, but he's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. Cena isn't about to leave the WWE for an AEW or New Japan. Vince would never let that happen willingly, and Cena's loyalty is on a level of, like I said, The Undertaker. It's WWE or nothing. If AEW were to add Cena or any type of John Cena influence to their show, I think Vince would die right on the spot. I really would. It ain't happening, folks. Cena has only wrestled one match dating back to last year's Royal Rumble event where he faced the Fiend Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 36 in a Firefly Funhouse match where Cena lost via pinfall. Or actually, was he at the Royal Rumble? Why did I put Royal Rumble in my notes? He didn't wrestle at the Royal Rumble, did he? No, he wasn't there. WrestleMania. I don't even know what happened this year, man. This year is just such a blur. He was at WrestleMania and that was it. He was on, obviously, SmackDown episodes, but he didn't wrestle anything. That wasn't even a match. The Firefly Funhouse match wasn't even a match. It was more of a fucking TV show. A trippy TV show. That's all it was. He rarely wrestles now. Cena still manages to make WWE appearances, several times throughout the year if they need him, if they want him, if they got something important for him. And again, don't even bother thinking about John Cena in another promotion. It's not going to happen. And finally, guys, Bruce, my buddy Bruce, reportedly, and the reason why I didn't make a big deal about this is because it's old news, number one. Number two, nobody gives a shit. Who gives a shit about Bruce? Hopefully, he's done with the WWE. Bruce is very tired, sleepy, and stressed with recent position on Monday Night Raw. Oh, he's tired. He's stressed. He's sleepy. Nobody asked you to take the fucking position over on Monday night. Bruce Pritchard has a very full plate. Conrad Thompson, his buddy, spoke with Wrestling Inc., discussed Pritchard's current job situation. The two have worked together for years on their podcast, Something to Wrestle With. Thompson said that Pritchard is tired and stressed. He was even more in a worrisome state about the COVID-19 pandemic, throwing so many issues at the company's process. It's not a little bit of stress, it's a lot of stress. We don't have specific conversations because I don't want him to ever think that I'm being the guy trying to dig for scoops. But yeah, every now and again, certainly, I'll get a call from Bruce and you can hear it in his voice. He's tired, he's sleepy, he's stressing. And I can only imagine the amount of curveballs that are coming at him. Not just from running a show on Fox, which, my goodness, what a huge undertaking that is. But now you've got a show on USA. But as if that wasn't enough, it's also happening during a pandemic on a closed set. It's just remarkable when you think about all the particular challenges and how many times they must have to. And nobody's told me this, but I just assume they've had to write and rewrite and write and rewrite because so many things are moving around. There's so many moving variables with who can travel, who can't, who has a fever, who doesn't. There are things where maybe once upon a time, it was just something you didn't have to worry about. Everybody's here, everybody's accounted for, and everybody's well. And if that's not the case, I can only imagine that wreaks havoc on your plans. So you have to adjust on the fly. And again, I'm freestyling and all of that, and nobody's told me that, but I can just imagine. Because in my day-to-day life, during the last 3 months, everything has not gone according to plan, and I'm not writing 5 hours of TV every week. So the idea that 5 hours of TV with hundreds of people comes off flawlessly and there's no hiccups because of COVID, yeah, that's probably a little unrealistic, end quote. Okay, but he isn't doing a good job outside of all this shit. He isn't making, the best of the situations that are right in front of him. The shows have been terrible. And nobody is going to convince me that the shows would be better if they had a full roster. They wouldn't. They wouldn't. People wouldn't watch if there was a full roster. People don't give a shit about the current product right now, no matter who is there or not. Bruce, I'm not saying Bruce is completely to blame, but he's the one in those positions that was given the title for us to blame. Everybody knows this is Vince McMahon, but Bruce is in there because Vince clearly is not going to take the blame himself. He fired Eric, he fired Paul, and he's inevitably going to fire Bruce. But is he going to fire Bruce? Because the ratings are lower than ever, lower than anything Paul Heyman or Eric Bischoff could possibly conceive. And Bruce Pritchard is a notable Vince McMahon cocksucker. Bruce will write a show when Vince is not there, the same way Vince would write a show. He is a good little soldier. So would Vince get rid of him? It would be like Dr. Evil getting rid of Mini-Me. Not going to happen. That's exactly what they are. It's Dr. Evil, Vince McMahon, and Mini-Me, Bruce Pritchard. They're one and the same. They're one and the same. One's just the CEO, and the other's a puppet. There's a lot going on backstage. Vince McMahon still has the final say about everything, but Bruce is right there alongside Vince. And Bruce, being that he's got so much influence, you'd think he would say, Vince, I don't think this is a good idea. So they just go ahead and do it anyway. Look at all the mistakes that I've pinpointed on Monday and Friday for the last 4 months. This is Bruce. You have the opportunity to speak up and say something, yet you don't. You just follow Vince's orders because Vince is boss, and you get on your hands and knees at the end of the day and lick his balls. That's all it is. I am tired of the excuses. I don't give a shit who's there, who's not there, who's coughing, who's got a fever, who is at home, who's in the PC, what event's coming up, what holiday's coming up, what's going on here, what's going on there. don't give a shit who's wearing a mask, who's not wearing a mask, who's social distancing, who's not social distancing, who's watching, who's not watching. I don't care. It's all excuses. The shows have been fucking terrible. Start booking better. That doesn't mean the creative process with what you got's got to be terrible too. You got what you got. Use it to the best of your ability and apply logic to what you got on the show. They can't even do that right. Give me a break. I give them nothing. No benefit of the doubt from me whatsoever. Give me a break. Guys, I'm getting out of here. Hopefully you enjoyed the podcast. If you did, let me know and sound off below in the comments. I will be back, maybe. Very, very small chance I'll be back tonight. Live for Impact Slammiversary, but I'll be watching. Follow me on Twitter if you guys want to tweet live with me at JD from NY206 on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. I will be live tomorrow afternoon in a pre-show for Extreme Rules. We're going to go over all the news and rumors heading into the show. I will be live post-show right after the show goes off the air, and I'll be live with Off the Script giving you a full-fledged review of what happened at the horror show. Meanwhile, we just got done with the horror show on Monday and Friday. We got another horror show on Sunday. 3 horror shows in 1 week, folks. How lucky are we? So I'll be live Sunday afternoon and Sunday night. Make sure you turn on the bell and subscribe for all the updates on the channel. Make sure you guys check out all the other videos that you might have missed. Raw, SmackDown, AEW, NXT, and anything else coming this week. Check the links down below for all the content that you might have missed. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. And Ridge.com/script. Use code SCRIPT at checkout. And I want to thank them for being such good friends of the show. Guys, thank you so very much. Hit that motherfucking thumbs up. And if you're on Spotify, thank you guys so much. If you're on iTunes, continue to leave your 5-star ratings. I got some shout-outs coming on tomorrow's afternoon live stream. Thank you to all the iTunes love. I'm JD. This is Off the Script, and I'll see you right back here for the pre-show for Extreme Rules, Part 2 of Episode 335, right here on Off the Script. Enjoy your day, guys. I'll see you live Sunday afternoon.